that of the sun, that of the light that is cast upon the darkness among, that cannot be seen, the god of the moon, the night, the dark, Amon, Amon Ra, Amon Ra, Ra, Ra.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
The Matrix meditates on the question, what's real? And how can we know when the tools we use to perceive reality, our senses and our brains, can be deceived?
If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
This question has fascinated philosophers through the centuries, and if we dig into the 1999 film's many influences and references, it becomes clear that the computer simulation enslaving human minds is really a social critique of an increasingly spectacle-driven, unreal capitalist culture.
You don't realize it, but you are being programmed.
The first movie in the Wachowskis trilogy told viewers to wake up and question where civilization was heading. And this leads us to ask, if The Matrix posited that society at the turn of the millennium was losing touch with reality, 20 years later, are we straight up living in the Matrix?
I've been, for the last 15 years, trying to answer the kinds of questions that my colleagues here have been raising. And what I've come to understand is that there are these incredible pictures that contain all the information of a set of equations that are related to string theory. And it's even more bizarre than that, because when you then try to understand these pictures, you find out that buried in them are computer codes just like the type that you find in a browser when you go surf the web. And so I'm left with the puzzle of trying to figure out whether I live in the Matrix or not.
Wait, you're blowing my mind at this moment. So you're saying, are you saying your attempt to understand the fundamental operations of nature leads you to a set of equations that are indistinguishable from the equations that drive search engines and browsers on our computers?
That is correct. So
Wait, I have to just be silent for a minute here. So you're saying as you dig deeper, you find computer code writ in the fabric of the cosmos?
into the equations that we want to use to describe the cosmos, yes.
Computer code.
Computer code, strings of bits of ones and zeros.
It's not just sort of resembles computer code. You're saying it is computer code.
It's not even just is computer code. It's a special kind of computer code that was invented by a scientist named Claude Shannon in the 1940s. That's what we find very, very deeply inside the equations that occur in string theory and in general in systems that we say are supersymmetric.
Okay. Time to go home, I think. Where are we going to go after? So are you saying we're all just, there's some entity that programmed the universe and we're just expressions of their code?
Well, I didn't say that. Some of those
like the Matrix? That's what you said.
Some of those codes are showing on the screen behind you right now. They don't look like codes, but these pictures, which we call adinkras, are graphical representations of sets of equations that are based on codes. So this is, in fact, to answer your question more directly, I have in my life come to a very strange place because I never expected that the movie The Matrix might be an accurate representation of the place in which I live.
The Kybalion is a compilation of Hermetic teachings. These same doctrines are based on principles originally explained by Hermes Trismegistus. The Kybalion provides a master key for students to unlock the fundamental and basic teachings of esoteric philosophy. There are 7 Hermetic principles that the entire philosophy is based on. Together, these 7 principles constitute an explanation of the fundamental laws that apply to all of creation. The work is attributed to the 3 initiates. Dig deeper and you'll discover the Hermetic content was most likely passed from the late Yogi Ramacharaka to his pupil Baba Bhattara to William Walker Atkinson, a prolific New Thought writer. The ancient sage Hermes Trismegistus is the source of the tenets in the Kybalion. Jewish tradition claims that Trismegistus was also a contemporary of the patriarch Abraham. As a result, his teachings on Hermeticism and Hermetic laws date to over 5,000 years ago. Even while he was still alive, his wisdom reached across continents. The earliest Egyptians named him the Scribe of the Gods. He was deified by the Greeks as the god of wisdom. The ancient Romans named him Mercury. Hermes discovered alchemy, which developed into chemistry. He created the concept of astrology, which became astronomy. For his wisdom, he is known as the Master of Masters. The Kybalion is premised on the theory that there is an intelligent, thinking substance that pervades all space and time. By coming into harmony with this intelligent stuff, you can, to a large extent, control what you manifest in your life. Our material and seemingly solid surroundings have been shown by science to be made up of particles of energy and empty space, which, too, is energy or information. Even our bodies are comprised of these particles of energy, yet all appear and feel seemingly solid. Perhaps the solidity and tangibility of reality is merely our interpretation of the information that we receive through our 5 senses, fooling our consciousness into believing our world is as we perceive it, when really it's our interpretation of the information. Perhaps we are each mind consciousness within a sea of energy and information, living in a sort of manifested dream. Your experience of your life is still valid and meaningful, of course. Potentially with this knowledge, we can realize the extent to which our mental processes create our experiences, empowering us to create the life we desire.
Maya means illusion and is a core concept in the Advaita Vedanta or non-dual school of Vedic thought. Maya is thinking you're separate from the divine, while enlightenment is realizing this isn't true, and that there's a deeper reality that transcends the changing world. In the Vedas, this is called Brahman, or pure consciousness. There once was a king named Janaka who struggled with his mind's illusion and discovered instead its truth. During his rule, Janaka's kingdom overflowed with abundance. There was no war, hunger, or poverty, and because he had no problems to solve, Janaka would doze off during his daily meetings with his small council of ministers. While enjoying one such afternoon siesta, Janaka had a disturbing dream. He found himself in a very different kingdom, one rife with famine, disease, and death. Those who were once adorned with precious jewels and gold now shivered as skin and bones, and Janaka saw himself dressed in filthy rags, clutching his last morsel of bread. He felt the hunger so deeply as he anticipated eating that piece of bread, but just then a bird swooped down and snatched the morsel right out of his hand. His screams of agony and desperation woke him up, and he found himself back in his usual kingdom. Yet because the dream seemed so real, Janaka began to question his reality. Is this also a dream, he wondered? His questioning became relentless, so he called all the enlightened teachers from throughout the land. Perhaps they could help him realize if this is all a dream or not. Ultimately, all were turned away except for Ashtavakra, a 12-year-old boy whose body was bent in 8 places. This child saint revealed to Janaka the play of Maya and how to awaken from its illusion. Ashtavakra described to Janaka the difference between the dream during sleep and during waking. In sleep, the objects and characters that appear aren't real. Yet when you're in the dream, you fully believe in their reality. It's the same in the waking state, though you don't realize it. You think everything you see and think is real, when it too is Maya.
Concerning matter, we've been all wrong. What we have called matter is energy, whose vibration has been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. Matter is spirit, reduced to a point of visibility. There is no matter.
Robert Lanza was called by the New York Times one of the 3 most important scientists alive today. Just to give you an idea of the caliber of our next presenter.
Well, biocentrism starts by acknowledging that our existing model of reality is looking increasingly creaky in the face of recent scientific discoveries. In his papers on relativity, Einstein showed that time exists relative to each observer. My theory of biocentrism takes this a step further by suggesting that the observer literally creates time. Space and time aren't objects. Look at me, the podium. Everything you see right now is a whirl of information occurring in your mind.
Did you ever wonder if there's anything more to the human than this physical body that we have? Well, it's real interesting because if we go back in history, they talk about something called spirit, an energy, and an invisible force that seems to be controlling who and what we really are. Quantum physics emphasizes that the universe is not really split into 2 realms, a material realm and an energetic realm. Quantum physics reveals that everything is made out of energy. What we perceive as matter is actually an illusion of energy and light, that there is nothing physical. You know, what do you mean? I said, well, first of all, a very simple fact. When physicists started to take the atom apart and find there were things inside such as protons, neutrons, and electrons, then they say, yeah, but what are those things made out of? Then they got down to smaller things like quarks, and then I said, yeah, but what were they made out of? And ultimately what physicists recognized was at the fundamental core of an atom, there is nothing material at all. It's an energy vortex. It's a powerful energy field, and that all atoms are these energy fields. And the significance about that is, well, atoms make up humans. And so by definition, we perceive ourselves as physical structures, but according to quantum physics, we're energy vortices.
Imagine a cell as a television set, and that the environmental signal, like a broadcast, is being picked up by the antennas on that television set.
And therefore, the cell responds to that broadcast. Well, guess what? Everyone has a different set of antennas, so by definition, everyone is receiving a different broadcast field. Field, yeah, that's what physicists refer to as the energy in which we live. So all of us are in a field, but each one of us actually receives a very precise and specific part of that field different than everybody else. No 2 people share the same self-receptors. That's why we just can't exchange cells, organs, and tissues with each other. Now comes an interesting part. If the cell is like a television receiving a broadcast, then consider this. What happens if you're watching your TV and it breaks? We say the TV's dead. I go, yeah. But now the question is this, yes, the TV just died, but is the broadcast still there that I was watching? The answer, of course it's still there. The television's gone, the broadcast is present.
I say, how would you know? Well, one way of knowing, get another TV set, plug it in, turn it on, and tune it to the right station, and the show is back on air.
Well, this would apply directly to humans as well. I have an identity due to a set of receptors receiving an environmental signal. If I die, I have no more reception, and therefore my broadcast exists, but there's no TV to express it. If an embryo shows up in the future with the same set of self-receptors that I have, well then guess what? I'm back online in a different TV. Does it have to be a male or female TV? Nope, that's the TV. Well, how about, is it black, white, brown, red, yellow? No, that's the TV. That's not who you are. You are the broadcast. Lastly, it's important to note that the character that you express in this life is actually sent back to your source, because your brain is not keeping your consciousness in your head, because magnetoencephalographs, unlike electroencephalographs, magnetoencephalographs read your brain function, but the probes don't even touch your head. They're a very important concept right here. Your thoughts are not contained in your head. They're broadcast into the field. And as Einstein emphasized, the field is the sole governing agency of the particle, matter. And then we put all of this together and says, your biology is an expression of this matter, but it's actually shaped by the field, a field that exists whether you're here or not. And then all of a sudden, the ancient story of spirituality now conforms to the modern day science of quantum physics. You're a field, you're a spirit, you're more than this. And when you understand that, it is the first step towards your personal empowerment.
There you have it. We are not here until thinking makes it so, through our five senses. I am Ra, that of the sun that casts light upon thy darkness of what cannot be seen. And as you saw from the video, we are not here. Hate to disappoint you. Until thinking makes it so. So what does all this biocentrism and Kabbalah and quantum physics and metaphysics and the field, what does this all mean to us in our everyday life? How can we use it? Even if you didn't understand a lot of it, or a little bit of it, it doesn't really matter. Because it doesn't matter until thinking makes it so, as Albert Einstein wonderfully explained. But what does it all mean? How can we use it in our everyday life? We are in a vast field of information. Call it Samadhi, Akashic, the zero-point field, God, the universe, whatever you wish. We are in a vast field of information right now at this very moment as you watch this video. Expressing ourselves in this relative world. We are an expression of the Almighty of all that is, that creates this world, our universe, the multiverse, the infinite. We are an expression of that. Therefore, we are the most powerful force in our personal universe. How could we not be if we're an expression of that type of power? How could we not be? By being compulsive, addicted to being a human being. And we're not a human being. We're a being creating the wonderful gift of the human experience. But that said, usually the last person to know that they're an addict is the addict himself. So it be. We have forgotten what we have forgotten. We are in the dream within the dream. The Maya. Wake up. Wake up from the dream. Create the dream. Quit suffering in the illusions of your mind of the compulsive addiction to being a human being. Quit denying who you truly are. A being creating the wonderful gift of the human experience, divine consciousness, the most powerful force in your universe. You are the only absolute in this relative world of the human experience, of duality and impermanency. The most powerful force in your personal universe. Have your jobs. Have your cars, have your money, your dogs, your cats, your ponies, but none of it has ever been you. None of it will ever be you. And if you make your self-identification out of it, you will suffer in the illusions of your mind. Be. That's simple. Be. No fix, no learn, no spiritual journeys. Being on a spiritual journey is like sitting in your house while you're looking for your home. You are there right now in the vast field. In the infinite. Divine consciousness is never born. It never dies. Be. You say, look at my tail, look at my hair. I love you. And that's another perspective. Not that it should be yours or anyone else's.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Silmaga,